Hey everybody, welcome to tutorial number 13 on our custom Conan Exiles map tutorial series. And today we're going to go ahead and start kind of sculpting the map, getting our first island set up, or whatever you decide you're going to work on. We're going to kind of cover a little bit of that, the art and what to do, what not to do, and kind of go from there. This is going to kind of help you get into the immersion process to make the world seem valid and real to the player. That way it's immersive, and that way it kind of keeps people on your map playing and the game. Because if you create a map that doesn't look right or doesn't seem right, players tend to be turned off by this. They don't stay long. Your map's not popular. You just wasted all your time, and you really don't want to waste your time. So what you want to do is you want to focus on the art and the immersion to make it look very good, stunning, beautiful, and get the players attracted to it to where they'll tell their friends, family, etc. So they'll play on your map. Okay, because you don't want to put a lot of money, I should say time, but you can put money into it. But time and money into developing a map and find out that nobody likes it, nobody wants to play it, and you just wasted a lot of your sweet time. You know what I'm saying? Time is precious to everybody. So let's go ahead and we'll kind of delve into this. So let me go ahead and change over to my display and we will begin. All right, so I'm going to go to Windows Levels. And I am going to open up, I think it's 1.0 and 1.1 is where I started in my little corner of the world here. And I'm just going to hit save on those real quick and find them. Okay, good. All right, so last time I had to reinstall my map, so I'm kind of back to square one. However, I'm going to go ahead and sculpt, and there is my character creation actor spot. All right, so there's my water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the water on right now, but I'm going to go up to my sculpt tool, which is Shift 3, or hit the little mountain icon here with your mouse. I'm going to go ahead and go to the flatten tool, and I'm going to begin sculpting here. And you want to kind of start out small, and if you can take like a level or an edge and line your sculpting tool up just to get the right amount, see, like that. That way you can kind of flatten surfaces, because if you want to kind of keep your elevation, try not use it on the tops of your island or your peaks of your mountains or whatever it is that you might be doing, and just kind of start with an area and work your way out like this. Because what happens is if you do this and you kind of skip, you're not seeing it. So you want to try to keep it together. And once you get enough wide enough area, I'm doing this for a real big reason, because obviously my map, the water depth is pretty deep, and I kind of wanted it that way. That way players had to dive down to the ships that I'm planning putting on. And if you're doing an island with me, then you're going to want to do the kind of the same thing to kind of follow along and help you out. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of drag this around. And oh, by the way, I should say that this tutorial might take 45 minutes to an hour. So just to give you a heads up, so if you need to do anything, maybe pause and come back later when you have an hour of time. Just want to give you a heads up just in case. That way you know how much time we're going to spend trying to do this. But I'm going to try to go as quick as I can as possible to kind of set this island up. So there is a method to my madness. And this, like I said, this will kind of help you get ready for the art process and things like that. Because like I said, you want people to play your map. You don't want them turned off by it. And I've seen some of the custom maps out there. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I get those spam calls during the day, just random. All right. So, okay, let's get this sculpted out. And what I'm kind of trying to do here, if you can tell, is just kind of wrap the island here. And because the water's so deep, when we go to smooth out and try to create the beaches, I need enough area to smooth it out, but also not sit there and melt my island away. And you'll see what I mean by that as we get to that point. And hopefully my sculpting tutorial and over the sculpting tools kind of helped you, give you some ideas. And like I said, just kind of take your time, figure it out what you're going to do. I like to sculpt by hand because one of the reasons why I sculpt by hand and smooth the terrain and stuff. Now there's some really cool things out there where there's these awesome like mountains and things like that, beautiful scenes, and it looks so real. But the problem with that is people don't take into effect that your character cages and your collision cages on your NPCs are going to have issues. And I'll explain that later on as we go in, more in depth in the series. Okay, so I'm going to try smoothing this out now. So I'm going to go to my smooth tool and I'm going to enlarge the brush and I'm going to see how badly this melts, trying to smooth it with the depth of my ocean. That way I get a good plane. And see, that's really kind of cliff cutoff, and I really don't want that effect. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and hide my water now. So if you need to do the same, just go up to your water folder that you made, just hit the little eyeball on it, and now you can hide the water, and we can kind of work on what we're doing here. So now I have a better perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down a layer with my brush, and I'm going to kind of start like this, kind of chew on it a little bit with the flattening tool, and get it to a point, and find a good happy spot, and kind of do the same thing. And we're going to tear this around like so. Okay. And just kind of do the same thing. And we're kind of like, working in layers in a sense. But what this will do, and I don't want to screw up this little spot over here, but I'm going to just make it meet up over here like so, because I like that. And then I got to open up. Now one thing too I want to show you too, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it to the edge of this map. Now if you notice, we're on the edge and I'm wrapping it. And what happens is if you don't have the other maps next to another map open, you're going to kind of run into some funny things. So let me zoom out here and I'll show you. So I'm going to open these other two maps up real quick, and they're not going to have any material on them because I'm trying to work in stages, but I just kind of want to show you what happens. And what happens here is, notice that this level hasn't moved with us. So if I take my tool now and flatten, say you're on an edge of a tile, now it's going to raise that map up, but we're not going to see it because right now it's not got any material painted down yet, so it's not painted. So I'm just going to do that for now. But I just want to kind of show you that if you don't have a map open next to the one that you're sculpting and you're on an edge, it's not going to raise it up to the same level as that you're at. So just keep that in mind. And I'm just going to go ahead and kind of trace this around. I probably should just go ahead and assign it. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and paint this real quick with the riverbed paint quickly. Just kind of paint it a little bit, that way we can see. So, like so. Okay. And what this will do is kind of help us smooth this out. So I'm going to go ahead back to my sculpt tool. I'm going to chew it down again, find another layer, right? Follow it around. And hopefully by then, what this will do is we'll be able to kind of smooth this better, and then the island will have a smoother grade. It's not going to be such a steep grade in the terrain, and it'll be more like, like a real ocean environment where, unless you live on a, out on the Marianas Trench. But what we'll do now, okay, let's try smoothing. And so by doing that, what we can do now is start kind of doing this. And see, I really stretched it way out there, like so. Okay. And by going up here, notice how it kind of blends into the different layers. And it's a little bit smoother grade. Now it's still eating some of our island away, but that's okay. It's not too terrible. Now I'll get it to where I want it. Like I said, this will kind of help you learn some techniques to manipulate the terrain a little bit easier so you have more control over what it does. Vice, you're kind of at the mercy of the tool, right? I've learned over time how to deal with this a little bit better and how to work it. And it takes a little bit of coordination too with your fingers on the keys and your camera and your tool brush, and just kind of slowly working it. Now, I still want to fix that, but what's going to be simple now is I can take the flattening tool now, shrink it down a little bit so I don't screw up what we do have. And what you can do is then just kind of do this. What I do is I kind of click it and pull, kind of roll it like this. All right. And this will kind of help our grade a little bit better. This grade over here is pretty good. It's not too terrible. But where it's kind of steep still, I'm just going to kind of hit it up and raise it up a bit. So that way, as we go along and as it pinches, because you notice the tool kind of pinches as you smooth and stuff. It just kind of pinches where it's at. It really doesn't do a nice spread and raise. So by doing this, we kind of extend it out some, like so. And then we go back to our smoothing tool, and then we re-smooth it again. And notice that now it's not chewing our beach as bad up there as it was before. A little bit over there, not too terrible. And that way it's got a nice kind of shallow, you can walk into the water, and then when the player walks into the water, we'll take a look here. Just like that, see? So just kind of smooth it out. Almost like a pie crust where you're kind of pinching the edges of a pie crust. Kind of think of the same concept, but only you're doing it with the terrain, with your flattening tool. And just use your smoothing tools. Just kind of circle it. That way it kind of blends everything together. Notice the clouds are floating over. The clouds overhead their shadows are being cast. Just like this. Now, obviously an ocean's not always going to be smooth and gradual like this, so, it's not going to look like that in real life. But what you can do is using the tool that I was, teaching you, these tools here, like this pattern tool. And this pattern tool, by sculpting, oops, what was it, pattern tool, we can do this and kind of create these squares, right? And by doing this pattern thing, then you can take your smooth tool, right, and and take it off the brush, obviously. Sorry, go back up here, and then just smooth it out. Some of it'll tear out, but you can, if you gently do it, you can kind of get these kind of rippling effects like this. But just do it gently so you don't tear it all up. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish doing this. But I just kind of want to quickly show you that tool. Or that two, I should say. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of take where we kind of got pinched here. And we're going to do the exact same concept over here. Just kind of pinch it out. Like so. All this for one area. But like I said, my ocean's going to be pretty deep around it. But I want the players to be able to kind of go off. And, like so. And I'm going to kind of leave a raised edge here because what I'm going to do too is I'm going to show you some really cool stuff with, go back here, back to the smooth. Yeah, remember to turn your brushes back to the circle. Otherwise, you're going to be hating life. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and kind of smooth this out the rest of the way. But what should now happen is now it's not pinching the entire world here. And go ahead and make sure you hit save. And then just so you know, if you hit the content folder, you can hit save all. hit save all. That way every map gets saved while you're doing this process. That way you don't lose any of your work because you're going to hate life. So try to get yourself into the mindset about every 5 to 10 minutes to save. The autosave in the dev kit does not do a good job of saving your work. And it says, do you want to restore what you have? And every time I go to restore it, it's never there. So I don't know why it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, but I've had issues with that. So just to kind of, let you guys, give you a heads up. And there we go. And we're slowly working our island here. Just like so. And just do that a little bit more. Then I take my smoothing tool again and kind of give the final push around here. Like I said, this technique works really good, especially if you're doing islands. It even works on land too when you ultimately need to take an area and kind of break it down. And it's kind of hard to see in certain angles, so just kind of adjust your camera, adjust your tool. I'm going to take my flat tool again, pinch this along here. So. Now, obviously I'm building an island chain system because the Barachan Isles in the Conan lore is a bunch of islands off the coast of the main continent. Alright, smooth. And we'll take a look at this with the water here in a second. Do the push. Now remember too, when we go to do the ocean foliage, we want enough space too where we can sink it down where our foliage is going to fit too. So if I've raised it too high or you've raised it too high, what you can do is kind of lower it with your sculpting tool. So remember, you can always lower the area, the terrain. So I'm going to take my sculpt tool, and all you gotta do is remember, hold down shift, left click to see I'm kind of sinking a little bit. So if I need a little bit of depth, to bring that down. And also what that does too is notice how it's giving us kind of like little ridges, kind of like what that pattern tool is supposed to do. So I'm just shift, left click, kind of melting it down a little bit, but just be careful you don't melt it too much and screw things up. Get too close to your main objective, and as we're trying to build our world here, our island. Okay, I want to make sure we're at 18 minutes. Okay, I just want to make sure I don't go over too long. All right, and then I'm going to do another final smooth here, another push. And then, like I said, we'll take a look and see what it looks like underwater. And see, like we already can tell, see how I got some nice kind of ridges and, kind of like dunes underwater. Because the ocean kind of does that in certain places with sand. It all depends on what part of the ocean you're or what part of the world you're in. You can kind of get those effects. Okay. So, let's see here. And I just want to smooth this out. Keep working it. This technique works for like overland desert stuff as well. Okay, so there we have that. Let's go ahead and let's look at our water now. So I'm gonna go ahead and unhide our water up in our world outliner. Gonna go to our selection mode. Okay, and then if we go underwater, let's take a look. This is looking pretty cool. Not too bad. And what we can do is just quickly play test it. Hit play from here. In our character select area, so what you can do ultimately is you can take your character creation spot and we can either keep that on this island or you can kind of create an area on your map where you want the character creation to go, and that's it. And nobody can actually venture to it. You can actually kind of hide it off to the side of the world somewhere, where nobody knows where it's at until they eventually discover it. If you leave it discoverable, sometimes you can hide that stuff, or you can make it a really cool place. It's up to you what you want to do, but just to give you some ideas out there, some suggestions. So let's see here. On my Empire Stygia, I have it starting. It looks like you're starting out in the Undead City, but you actually start on an island. But you create your character in the Undead City, or I shouldn't say Undead City, a bunch of ruins, I should say. The Dead Fortress or something like that's called, if I remember correctly. All right, we'll load in here hopefully with the dev kit, and we'll take a look and see. Oh, that's one other thing too. I'm going to show you too. I completely forgot. I need to find it. It helps. Because sometimes when you're working this, you have a hard time with depth perception because you're working up so high. So see how our character and the size of our character to like our beaches and stuff like that, right? So if we go out here in the water, look, it's pretty shallow. And then as it gradually gets deeper, see? So that's kind of what I wanted to kind of create that effect. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. Okay. So that's looking good. All right, so now on the next step, what I want to do is go to Content Browser and see if I can find it. Hopefully I can find this. I should have remembered before I started the tutorial. There is a nice little tool to help you get depth perception. So what I sometimes do is I just go to the characters folder, and what you can do, let's see, let's go mesh. And I'm going to look for, not the character preview. These are kind of cool. These work out okay, but I just type mesh. But this will give you an idea. So like this statue here. So like the Mitra statue. That's about the size of a human character, but there's also a character that you can use in here. I use the mesh. So remember to use the blue ones. Don't use the skeletal meshes. Okay, those are the bad ones. Use the static mesh, which is blue, but not that blue. I'll show you what I mean here. Give you another example. Gosh, this has come up under a lot of skeletal meshes. There was only one Mitra mesh that showed up. Okay, here we go. So these are the meshes that you can use. Okay. They're blue. There was one male proxy body. There we go. The SM male underscore proxy body. Now what this does is this gives you an idea. If I hit play here, so you got the Mitra statue, you got the proxy body, and what this does is it gives you an idea of your depth perception. So we should be able to walk up to this guy and see, and it's about the size of us. So this gives you an idea. So if you're trying to figure out, okay, how big an area is, I mean, look at that to this island here. Okay. So that gives you your depth perception. So yeah, look it up. It's SM underscore male underscore proxy. I'll go ahead and just hold my mouse here, and you can see over here to the right hand side. Go ahead and look that up, and that's where you can find this this little model here. And what you can do too, or you can use the Mitra statue to give you comparisons too. But what you want to do is you want to take this, all right, and what I do is I would keep copies of this, and what you can do is just go up here or right click on this guy, sorry. No, sorry, don't right click on it, my bad. Go up to your world outliner up here to the right hand side. Go to move to, create a new folder, and just call this depth perception tool. Okay, that way you can find it. And what I'm going to do is also go to Windows. I'm going to go to levels because I probably put this on. I want to make sure I'm on the right level here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to the correct level because I end up putting it on the other level. And go to level. So if you need to move something, and I should show you that real quick. So we place this guy down. He's basically a static mesh. What we're going to do is we're going to right click on this guy. Make sure your level that you're working on is open. Okay, so this one, see how they're floating there? They're on the wrong level. So we want to make sure 1, 0 is open, and I'm going to go ahead and go to level, right click, and go to level, and go move selection to current level. Right click on him, level, move selection to current level, hit save. That way it pulls it off the level, so whatever you have opened, just hit save on it. And if I hide this, now they're on the level I'm working on, so 1, 0. Okay. And why I called that the depth perception, we go view and current level only. Our depth perception tool, that way if you need to find it quickly, you just go up here, grab it, control copy, control V. I can paste a couple of these around, to kind of help, get your bearings on what you're doing. I've been doing this for a long time, so I have an idea. However, it's always good just to keep yourself accustomed to keeping that around to remind you what to do. Okay, so that way you can keep your perception and go, okay, shoot, that's how big the character is. So we got a lot to play with here. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring this out. My mountain, my island mountain. And like I said, I didn't river sand because I know on river sand I'm doing a lot of ocean, and then I can change this when I need to. So I'm just going to bring this out. Oops, and I covered up one of my player starts, but that's okay. And I'm just going to bring this out, like I said, with my flattening tool. I'm just kind of bringing this down to the beach here a little bit. Kind of the same concept, what we just did with the ocean. I'm going to kind of use that same technique, and I'm going to go with my smoothing tool and just kind of bring this, like so. So it's gradual. Just like that. And obviously my character, starting character is buried right now, so I'll have to bring that up here shortly. So just keep that in mind if you've left your character start area, or creation, I should say, creation spot at your first island or whatever. You'll have to remember to adjust that. Now I'm just going to kind of do that, and then I'm going to smooth this up here at the top. Now I'm just going to leave this like this because I have an idea I'm going to try, but I want to, do this. And that's all I'm doing, smoothing. Like I said, you just kind of do the same concept with the water, how we do the ocean. Okay. And then I'm just going to smooth this over here. I'm going to flatten this one more time too, because let me just go ahead and extend that out, because that smoothing is eating my beach away a little bit more. So I just want to give it a little bit more width out here. Like I said, if you look at the depth perception, I mean, you can tell my tool that I got out there, our little guy, look at how big he is right now compared to this. So it's a good size island. It's not too terribly small. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and we'll smooth this again. Make sure my tool's completely big, and I'm just gonna go like this. Yeah, notice how it's just chomping at it. Chomping it away. Okay. Just gonna go loop it around there. Kind of back to where I was a little bit, but we have some more beach here, so which is good. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move my character starters just out here. Oh, and that's another thing too, I should say. make sure that you don't do that when it says bad size. Make sure that you pull it up until that goes away. Because what happens is your character, when on creation, oops, let me slow my camera down so I don't make you sick. What you want to do is make sure it doesn't say bad size. Notice too the arrow, the blue arrow is where your character is going to face. So we can always face him out that way. I'm going to make him face the scary deep ocean. Be like, oh my god, I'm trapped on an island. Yep, you're definitely trapped on a big island out here. And I'm just going to go ahead and go down here, grab that real quick, highlight it there, and pull it to the side here. But usually what I do is you can also just twist this with your transform, like so. Just going to shift these guys out of here. And I can start these guys somewhere else, but I'm just getting them moved out and away from the shoreline. And then also what I want to do quickly too is I think this is another one that's buried underwater, yep. So I'm going to go ahead and move this one out. Okay, have them facing the water. Okay, and then my character creation spot. So I'm just going to go up here. Let's see, we're going to go Windows, go to Levels, so I can find it. And I'm just going to go down here, character creation spot. And what you can do is you can also put that in a folder if you want. I just call it character creation spot. But I'm just going to bring that up here a little bit higher. I'll adjust it later. But I want to go ahead and move that. Okay, so now we got this kind of sculpt. So we got our first island sculpt. I'm not going to go ahead and sculpt the other one later. I'll do that later. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint down. So obviously it's an island. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the desert grass, okay, and adjust my brush. And obviously we got the shoreline, we got a beach. So what I'm going to do is kind of start painting. So you select that, hit your left mouse button, get your size brush you want, and begin painting. Obviously you can tell that there's some, you're going to have these like brown spots like this. You know, this is where that river sand is. And then it's going to turn orange. And this is what they call auto landscape material, which is really nice. It's helpful because it can do the different depths of the layers, or I should say levels of the terrain. It's really nice. It does some wonders for art. Makes it a lot easier when you're applying art down. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of outline my beach. Now, you can do this kind of light too. You can do kind of light brushing, just kind of light areas like so. Just left mouse, just kind of tap it and roll the tool. And you notice how that does that. It kind of gives you the faint, so it's not heavy. And it might look weird from this level, but then when you get on ground level, and I'm going to kind of show you that here in a second. So I'm going to just do some light grass here. Okay, and then let's go ahead and I'm going to right click and hit play from here. And by doing light dusting like this with the tool, you can also adjust the strength of the tool, and I'll show you that too. So notice how it's kind of light grass, it's not heavy grass right here. But as we go in deeper to like some of the spots where I made it heavy, it will get kind of darker and the ground will get darker where we hit heavily. And it'll turn to a more grassy look away from the rest. Okay, so that's what that does. Alright. So let's go ahead and we'll finish getting our grass painted down here. And I'm going to go ahead and get my brush a little bit bigger so I can kind of cover some more areas. Now this is obviously going to be a nice jungly area to start with. My palm fronds and stuff like that. Palm trees. And you just kind of want to do that. And oh yeah, that's what I was going to show you. So also on your tool, if you notice here you got tool strength. If you increase this to 1, I mean look at that. As soon as I left click, boom. That's heavy. I mean it like paints it in. If you go like 0.1, it takes a lot of clicks or hold down the mouse button and hold down the tool to really get it to fill in. So like this is one swipe with the mouse, left clicking. Just to lightly click and move the painter. See how it does that? Not heavily. So 0.3 is the default, and I recommend that until you get used to painting. Painting all this down. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this all the way up to green. And notice, like I said, auto landscape material, it's taking areas that wouldn't make grass, and it's going to fill it in with the rocky brown material from the rocks. Okay, like so. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint this entire thing. Okay. Just like that. Now you can kind of do the same concept, or you can lighten it, and I'm just kind of doing this, and then I can go from suborbital, I like to call it, from outer space here, and you can kind of tell, and I'm just kind of wrapping my beach a little bit where it makes sense, and just going to fill some things in. And this will give you a perspective too, so it kind of helps you see what you're doing. Okay. Obviously, grass doesn't grow upside a mountain like that. I don't know why it allowed that, but it did, because I guess the slope is not too steep. But if I was to go ahead and use my flat tool here, make sure I go to sculpt, go to flattening, and then it'll cut it. And notice how it raises it, like so. And then I can smooth it out. Like I said, it'll blend it in, do all those fun things that it does with our tool. Okay, we're at 37. So this is probably going to be about an hour. So just take an hour and we'll finish up. Okay, so we got that part. We got our grass painted out. So I'm going to hit play here real quick. We'll take a look at it. And what we can do too is we can take the technique and we can go ahead and we can use some other materials to kind of blend some of that grass, thick grass out. Now this material, the grass, cuts off pretty early, but when we get our trees in, that's going to help distract too from the cutting off and those views there, because they really cut down the view distance on the grass for performance. So it's kind of already preset. But when we get trees and stuff in, that'll take care of that problem. It'll reduce that visual that we're seeing. Okay, so on our last tutorial, obviously I had to wipe my foliage, so we need foliage. So I'm going to go to my content folder, and if you were like me and you need to fix your whole tool, well, guess what? I'm going to have to fix my foliage tool. So we're going to go to environment, and we're going to open that up, and we're going to go to foliage and foliage type. Now this is one way we can add our foliage to our tool here without having to go add it down here like so. We can actually find it here. So we know there's aloe, so we can drag the aloe there. Okay, and these already should be sized. If you look here when you drag it in, there's this density KU 2.0 and radiuses and stuff like distances between foliage. You can set it up. Okay, so you can change distances. So like density 2.0 is pretty good, but radius, the minimum distance between foliage. So you can go ahead and adjust these. I think I'm going to try it. So I'm going to say 100. So when I do that, I should be able to save that. No, I can't. So yeah, we're set with what we got. Okay, so that's the way the Funcom's got it. That's the way Funcom's does it, unless you want to save it to your mod folder. However, you're going to take up your precious space for your mod. So let's not go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take that foliage. Obviously, we need some rocks, so we're going to take these rocks here like so. Okay. We're going to drag them over. Okay, and also our palm trees. Now remember, stay away from the Sipta palm trees. Do not use these trees. Stay away from them. For whatever reason, they were crashing my mod. So stay away from anything named Sipta. So let's go down through here. Let's see, make sure I didn't pass my branches. We can actually take these mushrooms. So let's take these glow mushrooms. We'll put glow mushrooms. I like the glow mushrooms. We can also take this foliage here, which is the ground jungle. All right, so we'll use these ground jungles here and drop those in. We could use this grass backyard drop possibly. Let's leave that out for now. I want to make sure I got that grass there. Yep. Scroll down. Let's keep going. All right, we're going to look for the green shrubs. Now we can use some dead stuff if we want, but I'm going to make this lush like it's tropical, so I'm going to stay away from the desert shrubs. But if you want, go ahead and grab the shrubs desert. I'm going to grab the jungle western, and I'm going to go with the sarcobatus and the jungle plant, drag that over. And then also I'm going to grab all these branches, except for the highlands branches. We're going to grab these white bleached trees and sticks, and we're going to drag those over. All right, so we have them. Let me see here. We're going to keep the creepy stuff out. We can grab these mushroom plants, and we can grab these red mushrooms over here. We're going to drag those out and drop them in for mushrooms. Now we want some skeleton bones, so let's go ahead and grab all these bone pieces and drag those in. We can drag that brown skull in, I guess. Oh, we're going to definitely need some resources, so go ahead and grab all these resources here. Drag those over, drop them in. I'm also going to use these green swamp rocks, so I'm going to grab those and drop them in. I'm also going to grab this swamp grass right here and drag that in, and I'm going to grab this swamp grass free one. Grab this one here because you might want to decorate something with a little bit of grass. I'm going to go ahead and grab these, not the olive trees. Okay, our desktop palm trees, definitely grab these and our banana palms. We're also going to grab all the ocean stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and hit shift, and I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to grab all this underwater stuff here, drag that over. Volcano rubble, I'm going to leave that for now. Volcanic rock, oh, I'm going to take these wood planks, drag those over. Underwater algae, I think I didn't get that one. That should be all the underwater stuff. And you can grab whatever you want. However, like I said, I'm trying to stick to a theme. And that's best if you stick to the theme. Oh, I'm going to grab these skeleton bones here, these bone piles. Go ahead and grab these bone piles, drag them over, bring them in. Now, since we can't resize our foliage here, I'm going to grab this mossy rubble too. Grab the mossy rubble, just in case. Oh, sorry, and we want to grab the lotus, but the lotus should not be these blue ones. Let me see. We should have lotus in here already, and I might have missed it. There it is. I'm going to grab the lotus plant. You also get your other resources here to your resource-giving plants and stuff if you want to grab those if your map requires it. Oh, I'm going to grab these brimstone too, and these cobwebs. And I might as well grab these crystals. Like so. Okay. And these are the black rocks. I don't think I need the black rocks. I'm going to leave those for now. So we should be good. So I'm going to go with that to start with for our foliage tool. Okay. Now, if you remember my foliage video, before I go there, let's do this. I said we could resize foliage. So what you can do is if you need to resize something, I'm going to go ahead and check mark this. I'm going to go ahead and do a single instance. I'm going to paint this down. Oops. Hold on a second. I'm going to hit shift and go scroll all the way down, hit shift, click all the boxes, unclick it. Now go up and grab the one, and then your visual. Sometimes your visual is going to be weird. It's like resources is so intense. Okay, so I took that aloe vera, and they kind of obviously do their own little resize because they're already set by Funcom. However, if you want, you can take this little select tool, and you can take your spacebar, hit the transform to this point, and then you can actually shrink it down if you need to do it that way. Okay, so you can override that by doing that. You can hit Control Z to undo it. So just to let you know, okay, I'm going to take our loop tool, take off single mesh, and delete those. Now, as I was saying before, in our tutorial, I said to go ahead and assign the foliage to each individual tile. I believe that's probably still the best method. So whatever tile you're assigned to, and Windows levels, let me make sure. Obviously, my persistent level is persistent. I'm going to see which one of these maps has the the foliage assigned to it. And hopefully, I'm not sure if this is going to do it, but we'll find out here in a second. If we go to the foliage tool and we hide these guys, they're all in the persistent basically. That's interesting, even though they're not assigned, but they kind of act like they are. Well, I wonder. Let's do a little test. So if I paint this guy down, all right, and we go our brush, and let's see, let's go to here. Got that guy. All right, go to paint. It's not allowing me to paint it. That's interesting. Very interesting. That is kind of interesting that that won't let us paint it. So, like I said before, what you might want to do, because I'm on the persistent, so if I go to 1.0, okay, let me try painting on here and see if it'll allow it to paint. There it goes. I might not have had it adjusted too much to paint. All right, so I think it's going to do that. Now, if I hide 1.0, save it. Okay, oops. Unhide it to save. Save it. Now what I'm going to do is unload it. And we did test this before, and it would take the foliage and disappear it, but it looks like it's doing it. The dev kit's funny how it works like that, this foliage tool. But a good practice, just to be on the safe side, if you find that it's not working, just assign your foliage individually to each tile. Just make sure you highlight it. Okay. But I think we're going to be okay here. As I said, my foliage tutorial, you notice how it was disappearing and appearing with the different maps. But because since I put on the persistent, which is kind of bizarre, I didn't realize I didn't have my 1.0 selected. And if I unload these, it's kind of funny how that's on the persistent. I wonder if it'll allow us to continue to paint. Yeah, it does. Okay. All right, so back to what we're doing. If I blow this up, it's my fault, so it'll be my fault on my map. But yeah, it's not disappearing. But here's what'll be interesting though. So if we do that right, and we hide our persistent, but we open up one of our other levels, yeah, notice that. Notice how it's missing. But notice how 1.0 only has 2. And then 1.1 has just these. Yeah, see, so you got to make sure. I think that's the correct way to do it. So what I'm going to do is unhide my persistent. Notice how it did that? It's really bizarre. It's only got a few selections. So yeah, we definitely want to make sure. Now 1.0, it says it has all that, which is kind of funny. So what I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to go ahead and lasso all this up. Delete it. And what you can do too is you can like clear this. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear this. Shift. Right. Oops. Shift. Right click and hit remove. And it'll remove all that out. And hit save. So that way we go back to my tutorial where I told you 1.0 is the key place. Obviously I want to assign it first to there. And then I want to assign the foliage to that. So I'm going to go back up to my content folder real quick. All right. Now you're going to get this a lot with the dev kit saying, do you want to save all these? You can't save them because it's already in this folder. Okay. But what we want to make sure, like I said before, is make sure the level you're assigning your foliage is open. All right. So what's kind of neat about this is now I see all these things here that are starred. I know I dragged them over and I wanted to use them, but actually I forgot to grab these cave crystals while I was at it. So I'm going to grab all the stuff that is starred, and I'm going to make sure that I bring it over to my level. Because we don't want to save it. Oh, you know what I also forgot? get the highland clam, because you can put clams on the beach. You know, that's one thing I noticed that they didn't do. And I'm gonna grab these moss rocks, these shrubs, or trees. I do apologize that I got ahead of myself and I thought I had the right map open. But it's a reminder though. I mean, there's so much that you gotta try to remember. Just take your time. I'm kind of rushing a little bit, but I'm trying to teach you at the same time how to do this. And this is the fastest way to assign foliage to a level. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab this. Grab all the ocean stuff. And I'm going to put some custom ocean stuff in later. And I'll show you that later on. Okay, I'm going to grab all that. Bloop. Right. 108 different ones are going in there. All right, and then what I'm going to do is hit save on 10. Windows, levels. I'm going to unload it. And what it should do is unload those. Now I'm on 1.3, or 1.1, sorry, 1.1. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab my foliages again. Same way. Like I said, it's a time-consuming process to get things started up. But I learned some lessons from, building Empire Stygia, what to do and what not to do. And it just takes time. But once you get the hang of this, you get more comfortable with the dev kit, the better you'll be at this. Okay, and hopefully I didn't miss my sticks. Oh, I think I might have missed my skeletons on the other one, but it's okay. We'll get it. We will get it. All right, our mushrooms. And you can hit down the control. If you hit down control, that's how you can keep these all highlighting. Just hit your control and hold it down as you click what you want to take. Or you can use shift too if you're comfortable using shift to grab lines of this stuff. I just do it individually, that way I don't overstep myself on accident. Because sometimes you can grab the other stuff you don't want and then you gotta sit there and delete it out. Okay, and grab that, drop that in. Okay, and let me see here. We'll go with that, all right, so that way we can keep this tutorial rolling. All right, so just assign your foliage like so. Okay, obviously I had to do it because I had to re-import my map again, so it screwed up all my settings from the previous. Okay, so now we got that dragged in. That's the quick way of doing your foliage. Instead of going down here and add foliage type one by one, you can take it from that folder and just drag it over, boom, and assign it to the maps. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put down some trees. So I'm going to go ahead and some aloe. So I got these highlighted, my aloe. I'm going to scroll down here to my, I'm going to put down these jungle ferns, this jungle sarcobaticus, however you say that. Like I said, your foliage tool might be weird. It might show like a bunch of skeletons and bones and it clears up. Don't mind that. It does get a little weird. That's just part of the process. I'm going to grab my trees really quickly here. And I think that's it. All right, so what I'm going to do is take my brush, widen it. If you remember right, you can do the strength. So I'm going to go to paint mode up here, which is top. And I'm going to go 0.001 to start with. That's what I've learned is the best for the density placement. Because if you go any higher, you get like crazy astronaut, you get like that, and you don't want that to happen to you. You want to be able to control how much you put down. So 0.002, I'm going to do 2. And what you can do is just kind of start out light to go with, and then if you need to, you can boost it. So I'm going to boost it to 4. And like kind of the same concept, the same technique what we did before. Kind of lightly use your mouse, left mouse button, get it to paint down. Okay. And kind of create this like so. And obviously we don't put trees in water, but if you do something like this, like you could sit here and get sporadic like I'm going to do right now just for fun. I'm going to make my brush really big, right? And I'm just going to go like this, right? And just going to spread it around. Now I'm obviously painting in the water, but you can do this if you need to, like, say you just want to speed things up. You know, it's obviously slapping stuff in the wrong spot, but it actually might not speed things up. But say you're just, you know, whipping along and you just really want it to go down, like so. Like this is what I'm doing now. So I can do this. And strategically, I'm not getting enough trees in, which is kind of a bummer because the way they got the spacing set up for these trees and stuff. So you might have to go back over an area and kind of concentrate and focus the brush in a specific spot. See how it's finally starting to crap trees? So just do that in certain areas that you think might be you need some more foliage in. Now remember, you might get some double overlap too, so be careful. You might have to go in and weed some of it out. They might stack up on each other. And see, now I want my beach edge here to kind of be thick with trees. And as you go in elevation, sometimes they kind of thin out, right? In real life, that's kind of how things are. Right, so we're just kind of filling this in like so. Just like that. Where are we at? We're at 57 minutes. Okay, good. All right, and then what we can do is then we take what we've painted down. We just go to our lasso tool, use our brush, and go big. Oops, don't want to go that big. And what we can do is just kind of wrap around where I went crazy and just carefully maneuver to where we can slowly, gently highlight those, hit the delete key. Excuse me, and kind of go over the area that we painted and kind of get rid of that stuff that we don't want it there. Just hit delete to clean up areas. And you can, like I said, you can shrink the brush down, but what this does, it allows us to kind of clean our beach edge. Like so. All right. And you can kind of go down here with your camera, kind of fly around, look at it. If something seems out of whack, just kind of highlight it. You know, that's not too bad, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of dot it. Just see how clean it looks. You know. Okay, delete that. All right, so then I hit save. And so both map tiles should now have all that foliage. All right, we're at 58 minutes. I'm gonna hit save. And I'm trying to think of something there. Something I was gonna think about. Okay, I'm gonna do some custom water foliage, so I'm gonna save on painting down, but however, like where I overlapped, notice that we still got some that I missed. So just go back through and double check yourself, make sure you didn't leave foliage anywhere else. You know, I'm just gonna fly around, or you can take and go to your water, turn that off, go to your water, hide your water. And notice how I got some grass painted out here. So I'm just going to go ahead and carefully fix that with my riverbed and just clean that up, you know, like so. Things like that to take, you know, keep an eye on. All right, so let's hit save real quick, and then let's pop in here and take a quick peek and kind of run through real fast to show you what we've accomplished here in the last hour. But that will help you, you know, kind of get some art techniques down. That's nice and thick. It's not too terrible. We want our NPCs to have maneuverability. Okay. And so far it's looking pretty good. Oops. Let me hit escape, go to admin panel real quick and make sure I turn myself to, let's see, God mode, turn stamina off. Low sprint cost, yep. Alright, and plus water, plus food. Okay. That way we can take a look here. So our island's looking pretty good. And what I'll probably do is do a little bit more terrain work, but this is good for our, our starting area and our first map as far as that's concerned. Our beach, got a nice little beach out here. I'm gonna raise that up just a little bit perhaps, or back up some sand in here. So since it's a little too flat, just take the sculpt tool and we'll just kind of, increase it up here a little bit like so. Just kind of gently pop it up. And then of course I'll have to fix my character starting areas, just kind of do this. And what this will do is give us a little bit more, shape to the island. Oops, I'm going to smooth that out. Don't want to do that. Yep, there we go. And by doing that, it kind of gave us, a little bit like this, and smooth it. And notice how I can kind of make the beach a little bit larger by just kind of taking that sculpting along here, popping it up a little bit. It gives it a little bit more depth. Like I said, just kind of pop it up here like so, and smooth. And also by doing that too, what it does is, notice how our beach edge is not just a nice little, same thing. It's got a little bit, contours, the different edges and stuff like that, so we can make it a little bit different. So that's what we can do too, to kind of break that up so it doesn't look so kind of artificial. Is we kind of want to do that, and then, oops, shoot, wrong one. Smooth that out, Snow. And just kind of do that. And you just kind of cut it in, smooth that out. Use this smooth tool. Because, in real life, islands are not smoothly nice and round like that. So that gives us, see how that edging is a little bit more broken up. It's not like a nice smooth transition all the way around. We kind of want to break that up too. But also too, what I'm going to do too, just to kind of give you another technique here too. In real life, you might have these little outcroppings. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of sculpt this up here, like so. And it's not, it's probably not going to be that big, but like that. And just take my flattening tool. So just more techniques so you can, learn to break up the edge of your terrain, especially when you're doing shorelines and stuff like that, because you want to make it look good, not too artificial. Yeah. See, that's kind of artificial. Look at that. Let's flatten that out. Let's do this again real quick. Yep, same technique. Smooth that out. Okay, and we're getting close to being too long. Okay, so smooth that out. And oh geez, no. Sorry guys, I don't mean to take this much more time. But this is kind of what, how you can do it. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode and it gave you some ideas. Obviously I got some grass painted out here. I don't know how I did that, but I did. And then carefully, I just take this sculpt tool and gently smooth this, like so. Not mess that up. Then take some paint really quickly here. And then take some more foliage. Reduce my brush down because we're painting a very small area. Hit on paint snow, that would be a smart idea. Just like that. And then go back to my painting. Riverbed. Some of that up. Put our water back on. And voila. So then you have something like that, so you can kind of change up your terrain. See, so now we have more of a tropical island. So I'm going to do that around this island a little bit, but I won't do it right now. But to give you an idea, you know, as far as sculpting terrain, giving it variety, and there you have it. And then we can look back at our island over there. We can see our little depth perception guys over there. Okay. All right, guys and gals. Let me go ahead and hit Shift Escape out of that, and quickly transition back over. All right. So hopefully you guys learned something in this episode. I know it's an hour. Hopefully it didn't kill you too much to listen to me talk, and hopefully you learned some techniques with the tools that help you manipulate the terrain a little bit better. So what we'll do, we'll continue on working on some more terrain stuff in the next video, but then we're going to phase over. I'm going to play some static meshes. So we're going to do some static mesh work where we're basically what we're going to do is kind of build a little island here. And in the Conan lore, Barachan Isles is where pirates were. So we're going to kind of set up a little pirate outpost and all that stuff. So we're going to start kind of getting into that stuff a little bit, lighting and things like that, sound effects. Obviously, we kind of covered the sound volumes a little bit previously, so that's why we have our environment sound now. But we'll get into more of that a little bit later. But I'm sorry that this video went over an hour, so it's now hour and 7 minutes, so hour and 10 minutes. So I don't want to push it any longer, but thank you guys for your support. Let me know how the tutorials are going. Should I take an hour? Should I do 30 minutes? Let me know in the Patreon comments. You know, message me directly through Patreon. Let me know what you think. Do I need to do them for an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes? You let me know, because you guys, basically, it's your time, and you're watching these videos, and that's why I kind of let you know up front that this might take a little bit, 45 to an hour, and I just kind of pushed it a little, just doing this last little bit to show you. So, all right, without further ado, guys, thank you very much. Thanks again for your support. I appreciate it. Stay frosty, stay sharp, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.